Hi everyone, Dead Battery here, and thank you for joining me on my channel. So today's video is going to be on the Nintendo Famicom. As many of you know, the Famicom is the Japanese version of the Nintendo Entertainment System. The Famicom was released in July of 1983. The original system looked like this. However, they didn't believe it was going to fare well in the American market, so they created the NES that had more of a VHS type install of games. But here in Japan, it sold really well and it was a much liked game system. And what we're going to do with it today is I'm going to attempt to put a modification in it. So one of my friends suggested an AV mod on a Famicom, which is something that I didn't know was out there, but I thought I'd give it a try. Now I can already play Famicom because I do own a VHS player and I run a lot of the old game systems through the VHS, but with this mod it does mean that I'll be able to bypass the VHS altogether. The company that I got the modification from is called the Backoffice. I'll leave a link in the description below for the website, and currently it's at version 6 with a price tag of about £42. I was able to find a Famicom in the junk section. There are many of them. It wasn't in the greatest condition, but at this point I just wanted to get one to test the mod out on, and if later on I wanted to change up the shell, I could. So let's take apart this Famicom and see if I can install this modification. Here's the Famicom I found in the junk section. It is very sun damaged. All the buttons for the controllers feel good. I am gonna probably take everything apart afterwards and give it a good scrub down. This one still has a top cover on it, which is nice. There was a couple of them in the junk section that did not. Here is the price I got it for. And then here is the board from the back office. And as you can see, I have version 5. And this is what the back of it looks like. And then here are the instructions that was sent with it. And they seem pretty easy to follow, so hopefully I can do it. They also provided the cord for afterwards. So let's flip this over and take this apart. The Famicom is held together with 6 screws on the back. They are all the same size and they're Phillips head. I had a little difficulty getting it apart. I think it's just because it's old. I am going to move the controller wires out of the way. And then I need to remove the motherboard, and to get it out of the rest of the shell, it's just 6 more screws. Once again, they're Phillips head and they're all the same size. And with a little wiggling, it lifts out. And the only thing left connected is the power button. So there's 2 more screws to get that out. I'm just gonna put the shell to the side right now, but I am gonna clean off the board. It's not terrible, but it's definitely really dusty. I'm sure it's been sitting around for a bit. So I'm just using isopropyl alcohol to get into all the little nooks and crannies and see if I can clean it up a little bit more. Basically, I need to take this metal plate off, and then the motherboard that's underneath is what I need to remove. The motherboard he shows, it's just a ribbon that you have to desolder off the back part of that board, and then it just comes apart. This one is a little more heavy duty, and honestly, if you're doing this one, I might advise trying to find the other one versus this one, and you'll see why shortly. So I start by adding some new solder to the area because it is a very big area. It needs to be heated up to melt the solder, and I was always told that's a good idea. And then I'm going to use solder wick so that I can remove this whole metal chunk with the motherboard off of the main motherboard. Unfortunately, this is proving more difficult than I thought it was going to be, but I felt like the solder wasn't moving, it was just getting stuck no matter how much flux I put on it. I was getting frustrated, and eventually what I ended up doing was cutting through all of the metal and getting it out of my way, and then basically heating and pulling out the rest of the legs. This was very difficult. If I could tell the difference between the Famicoms, I would have 100% gotten the other version, and I kind of want to buy the motherboard again from the back office, find the other Famicom and try it on that one because I think I'll be more successful. Since this one doesn't have the ribbon, I have to do it myself. So the instructions tell you where to add. So there were spots where I needed to put everything down. So it's basically a ground and then these three spots. The one by itself is ground, and then in order, it's the 5 volt, the audio, and then the video. Now that all the wires are soldered down, I am going to lightly clean up the Famicom. It's pretty bad, it's pretty dusty, it's definitely very sun damaged. I would like to fully clean it up. I don't see the reason in getting another case necessarily, since I can retrobrite this, but I'm not going to take the full time to get it completely squeaky clean until I find out that this mod works. Now that I got it to some kind of resemblance of slightly clean, I can put the motherboard back in. And step 1 is adding the power button and then the motherboard over top. And I will plug the controllers back in place because once I screw it down, it won't be as easy to get to it. The kit came with this red piece and I didn't quite know what it was until right about now, and it fits perfectly. Now I can put the back office motherboard in and then finish screwing everything down. Now I just need to solder the wires from the back office board onto the Famicom board. And I know my wires are a little long, but luckily these are pretty flexible. And I did solder down the ground, and unfortunately while I was soldering down the last 3, I got my head completely in the way. So I only have video of me organizing them into all of the through holes, but not actually soldering them down in place. Now that they are down, I can close it up and we can take it downstairs and give it a test. So what did you think about this Famicom mod? Let me know in the comments if you've heard of this modification and if this is something that you've done or would like to do. I think this could be something that a newer person to modifications could definitely do. It would just be getting your hands on a Famicom. I have seen them in the junk section for 1,300 yen, but I've also seen them on websites for 50 bucks and up. So it really depends on maybe the condition and what you're looking to do. I had a lot of fun doing the modification. However, I really struggled with that metal plate area. I could not get it off and I was getting extremely frustrated because I don't know why it's not coming out. So don't be like me. Don't get frustrated. Luckily, nothing was broken, but I was getting way too frustrated with the metal, so I ended up just cutting it off. So maybe if you're doing this, maybe cut all the metal off from around it, and that may make it easier to get the rest out, or try to find one with the other motherboard, since from the directions and the photos, it's basically just removing a flat ribbon from the motherboard and attaching it to the Backoffice's motherboard. Now, I will say, I think that is awesome that they made a board that would allow either of the versions. In the end, it was definitely a good mod to do, and I thought it looked really good on the TV. And now we just have one more system to be able to play Famicom games. Let me know in the comments if you think I should put a new shell on it, or if you want to see how well the Retro Bright does. I always have fun trying out new modifications. It's definitely taught me to be slightly more patient, even though I don't feel like I was for this one. And it's always fun to see what other people are coming up with and what they're inventing for some of these game systems that are kind of going out of style, but there's a lot of us that still love them. Thank you for watching, and as always, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, share with your friends, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Bye!